Hello and welcome to The Future is Sovereign. I'm your host, Chelsea Dubeau, and this is the show where we break down power, influence, strategic communications. We talk about breathwork as well, because we all need to heal from attention capitalism and the situation that's going on in the world. And we also look at the signals that are hiding in plain sight. Okay, so we're talking today about something that's actually already happened. Something no one is calling an annexation, but that's exactly what it is. I'm talking about Canada's annexation. Okay, and it's not been with tanks, it's not been with troops, it's been with servers, with algorithms, and corporate control over the one thing that dictates who sees what, who hears what, and who ultimately gets to shape reality. Our digital communications platforms and infrastructure. Because make no mistake, Canada has already been annexed, just not in the way we think. Before you get upset with me, let's break down what I'm talking about. Ask yourself this: how does Canada communicate with itself? Where do businesses, entrepreneurs, and even our government, our public institutions, trusted organizations, how do they talk to Canadians? Facebook, US owned. Instagram, US owned. X, formerly Twitter, US owned. Google, US owned. YouTube, US owned. Every major digital platform that Canadians rely on isn't actually Canadian at all. Now, I'm not talking about legacy media platforms, okay? We're going to focus solely on social networking, social media platforms. And it's not just about where we post, right? It's about who controls the flow of information, who gets to decide what's seen and what is suppressed. This isn't just about convenience, it's about control, and we don't have it. Let's be blunt. Our public discourse, our business ecosystem, our news cycle, and even our government communications are not sovereign. They are rented. Canadian businesses, heavily reliant on US platforms for advertising and brand building. Government announcements, often posted first on US-owned social media platforms. Public news consumption, controlled by algorithmic decisions made in Silicon Valley. And we saw just how fragile this system is when Meta blocked Canadian news from its platforms in response to the Online News Act. One move, one corporate decision, and suddenly millions of Canadians couldn't access their country's news. That's power. And it's not Canadian power. Yeah, you could make the argument, yes, they can go elsewhere to get their news. But there is literally a study that confirms that when that switch happened, lots of Canadians they just stopped consuming news altogether. That's the reality. The algorithms have trained us to have short attention spans and to have low patience for research and going out of our way to get information, to fact check. It is why propaganda right now is so rampant. Don't even get me started on X. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about what this really means. Censorship without consent. We'll start there. If a US tech company decides tomorrow that a Canadian voice, politician, or movement is too controversial, they can erase it, and we have zero control over that. Economic vulnerability. Small businesses, entrepreneurs, and entire industries are at the mercy of algorithm changes and ad policies that can tank reach overnight. National security risks. Social media platforms and cloud services they're not just communication tools. They are data collection machines. And when that data is stored and controlled outside our borders, it's not truly ours. Listen, this is not a hypothetical threat. It's already happened, and it's happening every single day. Let's call this what it is: annexation in the digital age. It doesn't look like tanks. It doesn't look like a coup. It looks like absolute dependence on foreign-controlled digital platforms. The U.S., think about it, the U.S. has built a global digital empire. Their social media, their search engines, AI, they are all over the world. All nations, well, I can't say all. Many, if not most nations around the world, though, are using these platforms to communicate with their audiences. I hope I don't need to explain the implications of what that means. They control the algorithm. The algorithm is black box. It can't be scrutinized. They control who gets seen, who gets heard, and what conversations are allowed to happen. And that is the real power play of the 21st century. Now, there's more going on, but we're just focusing on the digital communications influence sovereignty right now. So where do we go from here? Because this doesn't have to be irreversible. The thing is, though, is that Canadians need to awaken to this truth and take action. We need Canadian-owned digital platforms for public discourse, business, and government communications. And the fun stuff, too. The problem is Canada currently has 2 social media platforms. Both of them look like they were built by Russian bots. No, it just can't be like that, right? You need a viable alternative that people actually want to use. And based on what's happening down south right now, people are going to be hungry for this. This is something that people are going to want to do. If we want to boycott American products, let's take it all away. But we need a viable alternative, which we don't have currently. Which means that we need to invest more in our digital sovereignty, which includes data, it includes the platforms, it includes infrastructure. Not only just ensuring that our user data is stored within Canada under Canadian jurisdiction, but that I will repeat myself, we have a viable platform alternative for social media communications. We need alternative digital ecosystems so that our businesses, institutions, and citizens don't have to rely on U.S. corporate gatekeepers. And, here's the big one. Businesses have to start building outside the algorithm. The fastest way to reclaim sovereignty and sovereign influence isn't just with top-down government intervention or regulation. It's Canadians choosing to take back control. And if entrepreneurs, content creators, and businesses stop feeding the U.S. tech monopoly their data, their dollars, and their dependence, the system collapses. Because here's the truth. Platforms don't make people powerful. People make platforms powerful. Here's the bottom line. The annexation of our communications and influence sovereignty has already happened. It wasn't a military invasion. It wasn't a political coup. It was a digital takeover. The most stealth one ever because we willingly signed up to use these platforms. If we don't start reclaiming our digital sovereignty, we're going to remain nothing more than a digital colony. And so the real question isn't, can we take it back? It's, will we? Because the power to reclaim Canada's digital future, that starts with us. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this episode made you think, share it, talk about it. and most importantly, take action. I'll see you next time.